Hey there, Raider Nation. Today's talk is straightforward. The Raiders' offense needs a new direction, and rumors of a possible Nick Chubb arrival only heighten expectations. Plus, Aidan O'Connell's future as starting QB is in jeopardy. But does he have what it takes to lead the team? A rebuild seems inevitable, but how can Las Vegas ensure that 2025 is different? Let's explore all of these points now. Nick Chubb is without a doubt one of the best running backs of the last 10 years. With 4 Pro Bowls and several seasons over 1,200 yards, his presence on the field can change a game. Just hearing his name is enough to get any fan excited. But, Raider Nation, the big question is the Nick Chubb we know still there? After his devastating knee injury in 2023, he was never the same. The numbers don't lie. In 2024, Chubb rushed for just 3.0 yards per attempt on 73 carries. For a player of his quality, this is far below expectations. Of course, serious injuries take time to fully recover, but with Chubb approaching 30, the age at which many running backs begin to decline, can he truly return to being the player we know him to be? Or are we betting on a name that is past its prime? Still, Chubb's potential arrival in Las Vegas is a source of optimism. The Raiders' running game has been non-existent this season, and any improvement would be welcome. However, he alone won't be able to solve the offense's problems. For Chubb to shine, we need something that has been missing for a long time: a functional offensive line. Without that, even the best running backs in the world can't perform miracles. One thing is for sure, Raider Nation. It doesn't matter if you have the best running back or quarterback. Without a good offensive line, no one can play well. And unfortunately, the Raiders' offensive line has been one of the worst in the NFL heading into 2024. The main problem is blocking for the run game, which is practically non-existent. Chubb, or any other RB, needs space to run. And currently, our OL simply cannot open up that space. Furthermore, pass protection has also left a lot to be desired. The quarterback, whether it's Aidan O'Connell or someone else, is constantly under pressure. This hinders playmaking, forces rush passes, and increases the risk of turnovers. In other words, we are dealing with structural problems that affect the entire offense. Improving the offensive line is not just a necessity, it is an absolute priority. So before any major investment in skill positions, the Raiders need to look at the trenches. Building a strong offensive line is the first step for any team that wants to be competitive. The NFL is all about winning at the basics, and without consistent blocking, any attempt at a rebuild will be thwarted. So, Raider Nation, do you agree that the path starts with the OL? Now let's talk about the most important position in football: quarterback. Aidan O'Connell has had a few opportunities to prove himself this season, but the results have been inconsistent at best. Yes, he's had some brilliant moments, like in the Christmas Day win over the Chiefs, but let's be honest, that one wasn't about him. With a rating of just 50.3 going into this game, it's hard to make a case for him being the future of the franchise. That's not to say O'Connell doesn't have potential. He's shown he can be a capable backup, someone who can step in and do the basics when needed. But is he the right guy to lead the Raiders long-term? So far, he hasn't proven he can be that leader. And time is running out for him to show some significant improvement before the front office decides to go another way. O'Connell's future lies in the coming weeks. If he wants to secure a spot on the team in 2025, he needs to use the final games of the season to impress. Otherwise, the Raiders will have no choice but to pursue a new QB, either in the draft or in free agency. Raider Nation, what do you think? Should we give O'Connell another chance? Or is it time to move on? If O'Connell isn't the answer, the next logical step is the draft. The 2025 class has some interesting prospects, such as Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders. Both have the talent and potential to be franchise QBs, but there's one problem. Can the Raiders get a high enough pick to get them? After all, the more teams fight for a quarterback, the more expensive it will be to move up in the draft. Another issue is the Raiders' draft history. Unfortunately, we haven't been consistent in our draft choices in recent years. Getting a quarterback wrong can be disastrous and set us back years. If Las Vegas decides to invest heavily in the draft, it will be essential to get it right this time. There is no room for error, especially at such a crucial position. On the other hand, if the Raiders don't get a good draft position, their options become very limited. Dealing to a weaker quarterback class in 2026 would be a nightmare, and no one wants to repeat past mistakes. The rebuild can start in the draft, but it will only be effective if the team is prepared to make the right decisions. If the draft doesn't pan out, free agency could be an alternative path. However, finding a reliable veteran QB on the market is much easier said than done. Often the available players are backups who never found their feet or fading veterans. This is the case of names like Desmond Ridder, who, honestly, don't inspire much confidence. Another concern with free agency is cost. Signing a quarterback with some experience is usually expensive, and the Raiders already have several holes on their roster that need to be filled. Is it worth spending a large portion of the budget on a player who may not be the ultimate solution? It's a high risk. Still, free agency could be an opportunity to bring temporary stability while the team continues its rebuild. But Raider Nation, what do you think? Should we take a chance on a veteran or focus on the draft and develop a young talent? Above all, Raider Nation, we need to talk about identity. The biggest problem with the Raiders' offense today is not just a lack of talent, but a lack of a clear plan. Who are we as a team? What style of play do we want to play? Without those answers, it's hard to build something consistent and lasting. Offensive identity starts with the coaching staff. If the coaching staff can't establish a scheme that maximizes the talent available, any player, whether it's a rookie QB or a veteran like Nick Chubb, will suffer. Planning and execution are crucial, and the Raiders need to improve in that regard. So before we invest heavily in players, it's time to adjust our attacking philosophy. This could mean changes behind the scenes and more stability in leadership. So, Raider Nation, do you agree that the first step is to define who we are?